My kitchen is in desperate need of a reset, and the anxiety of seeing it so messy has been building over the past week, and it made me use several tips that I remembered from my counseling courses in college. I wanted to share those tips with you all in case you might be feeling overwhelmed by an area in your life lately. A little disclaimer, I'm not a licensed counselor, but I did take a lot of the required courses towards becoming a licensed counselor, and what I took from those classes often helps me to mentally reset when I'm struggling. The first thing I like to do when I'm feeling stressed is just do a brain dump. I write down everything in my head. Sleep dramatically impacts how much we can get done in the day, but anxiety can cause us to lay awake after we're laying in bed and just supposed to be going to sleep. And we're just thinking of all the things we need to do. On nights when I'm feeling stressed about things I need to do, I do a brain dump before going to bed. Basically, I write down everything that pops into my head, from things that need to be done to things that I'm stressed or worried about. And sometimes just getting the thoughts onto the paper can break the cycle of thoughts that are whirling around in my head, because basically my brain is not needing to juggle those mental balls anymore. It can set it down because my brain is thinking, oh, you wrote it down, and so now you can relax and you won't forget it because you wrote it down. You can always look at that sheet of paper if you need to remember it. Another trick that I was taught was to change my shoulds to coulds. What I mean is that often we will see things that need to be done and think, I should do this or that. I should clean the bathroom. I should make lunch for tomorrow. But the should has an effect of making us feel like we're cornered into do something that we don't actually want to do. And it results in us being paralyzed or just not doing anything about those areas that are actually causing us a lot of stress. So could is actually a word that's full of possibility and promise. For example, thinking I should do the dishes. It kind of makes me feel like I'm already failing because they're not done and I have to do them or else. But if I think I could do the dishes, it empowers me mentally to think of how I'm capable to do things. I have the ability to do them. And it also allows me to say no if I need to focus on other things. I could do them, but I really need to do this other thing first. And it even leaves room for me to set up a reward for myself for doing the dishes. Like, I could do the dishes and then I will have a clean coffee cup so I can make myself some coffee. I'd love to hear from you all down below. What's one should that you've been saying in your brain that you should do that you'll change to a could right now? I just caught myself thinking I should have had this voiceover done earlier this week, but I'm gonna change that to I could finish this voiceover in the next hour and enjoy some time with my husband afterwards. Another thing that I like to do if I'm stressed about all the things that need to be done is to pick one thing off of my to-do list that will only take a few minutes, but it will normally make a big difference to me. Like, it needs to be something short and something small that you can do quickly, but like maybe it's sending a thank you note or a thank you text to someone you've been meaning to thank, or maybe it's wiping a spot that you keep noticing every time you walk past it that really needs to be wiped up real quickly. The key is to pick something that will be finished quickly. When we finish something and we can either mentally or even physically cross it off a list, it can actually release dopamine, which is a feel-good hormone in our bodies. Now, not only does dopamine make you feel good, but it's addictive, which means that it will work on getting you to repeat that process, which means that you will have more motivation to continue on that to-do list to do the next thing so you can check it off, so you can continue to feel more of that feel-good hormone called dopamine. I know I talked earlier about how sleep can impact our stress levels, but if you're laying in bed feeling stressed and you can't seem to go to sleep, another thing you can do is do some progressive muscle relaxation. So what you basically do is when you're laying in bed, you start with your toes and you work your way up your body, making sure to focus on relaxing each and every muscle as you're going up. Sometimes focusing on each muscle, you can find that one or two of your muscles are just really tense and you've been unconsciously tensing them. And I've done this so many times and not even realized that I was tensing those muscles. So when your muscles are tense, it can actually scream to the rest of your body that you're stressed, which to your body means you are in danger. And then your body is going to release cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and it'll get your body prepared to fight or run from a stressful situation. Now, if you're trying to go to sleep though, that's not very helpful. So releasing any muscles that you have tensed up can actually help to signal to your body that you're okay, you're safe, and it's okay to relax and go to sleep. And it can really help you to fall asleep faster. Sometimes when I'm feeling stressed, stepping outside just for a few minutes even can help me to feel more mentally relaxed and mentally reset. Change of scenery can really help our minds to change the perspective on tasks that need to be done, and sunlight can actually help us if our vitamin D levels are low. You might have heard about, vitamin D is something you need, something that's good for you, go out in the sun. But did you know vitamin D is known for helping us to regulate our mood, and it impacts even our energy levels, so among other things. But even if you don't have time for a walk, or maybe the weather's bad, or you have kids that you need to get back to and you don't want to load everyone up in strollers or anything, just stepping outside for a brief moment, just to breathe deeply a few times, can really help. Now I wanted to pause real quickly on some of these tips that we've been talking about as I plant this garden, just to share how you can take several of these items, like this is a tomato slice, and plant those in your garden and grow them without having to go out and buy seeds. I actually told my husband earlier that we couldn't afford to go out and plant a garden that may or may not grow, because quite honestly, I don't have a green thumb at all. So I went ahead and I planted things that were actually trash that I had researched online that could grow, like this potato with sprouts on it. Earlier you saw the celery that I had just chopped off and stuck the bottom of the celery stalk in some water for a few days, and it already started sprouting some leaves out the top. But we will see if any of this grows. I am not a gardening expert. I am always open to more tips and tricks on gardening, because that is one area that I am very new on, still learning, and I would say not anywhere near the expert on. So if you have any tips for me, just leave them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you all. Now back to our mental reset. You may have heard some people say, take a deep breath when you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious, but do you know why that deep breath might be helpful? When we breathe in for 10, then hold for 3, and release for 5, it's theorized that we can repeatedly stimulate our vagus nerve. This is a nerve that's known for calming us down after a fight or flight situation or a stressful situation, and that stimulation can actually help the nerve to communicate to the rest of your body to calm down and focus on what you're telling it to do. One last good water and our garden is looking beautiful. We planted potatoes, celery, tomatoes, onions, and it is looking great. I also have an oak tree that's gonna start out here and get transplanted. Now back inside, the only thing left to do in this kitchen is to take care of the floors. We're gonna sweep and mop these floors.
Found along the way that, for instance, you must learn to wait for night to turn into day, night to turn into day. But if your aim is straight, and if you're willing to wait, you're gonna
The kitchen's looking so much cleaner now. We didn't check all the things off the list, but that's okay. The fact is, there will always be more to do. But if we let a never-ending list control us or overwhelm us, we'll be paralyzed and we'll miss out on living in a moment of joy when we have checked something off that list. The clean kitchen in my new garden has brought me so much joy already. Each time I walk into the kitchen, it puts a smile on my face, and even though there's still so much more to do, I love looking at what is completed and relishing that clean space. I hope some of these tips have been helpful in mentally resetting to start this next week. Thank you all for joining me. As always, I'll see you in the next one.